What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Echoes of Ellum, the podcast where we will be taking a lot of deep dives into the deep Ellum music scene of Dallas, Texas, from 1990 to present day. I'm your host, Gary Belisle. Our second guest is none other than Steve Page from Skwee-G and Rivethead. Steve has been a part of this scene for decades. His band Rivethead is 11 albums deep into their discography at the time of this recording. Over the years, the band has racked up thousands of followers on social media and has had tons of exposure on national, satellite, and internet radio stations, as well as game time play by professional sports teams. He's also known for his charity work with the 501st and Rebel Legion, who have done work with the Make-A-Wish and Peter Mayhew Foundations, as well as many others. When it comes to describing Rivethead's sound, I think their official website, rivetheadonline.com, said it best, describing it as if you took the Blade Runner, Tron, and Mortal Kombat soundtracks and threw them in a blender with Korn, Pantera, Metallica, and Fear Factory. Definitely kindred spirits with Isla Belisle. And we're glad to have him here. So let's get straight to the interview. Can you hear me?
Cool, dude. Absolutely.
Sweet. Welcome, man.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
I went ahead and I noticed you were joining, so I just went ahead and hit record so we can just start
Nice.
rolling. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was playing around with the cameras and I forgot I have an old camera set up on the side over here that I've got to set up to record like old 8mm stuff and mini DVs, and it was trying to connect to that, but it's not turned on. I'm like, I'm good because it'd be filming the shelf.
Nice. Yeah, you're nice and clear, man. Man, it's good to see you. It's been a long time, man.
You too, brother.
Yeah. I was just checking out a lot of your videos and going through and looking at a lot of older stuff, and I didn't realize you did a View to a Kill.
Yeah.
I hadn't checked that out yet, and man, that is really cool. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you. We did that. I mean, it was, this pandemic thing happened and we were doing everything we could to be smart and not get stuck in the middle of it. And we still wanted to do music and release new videos. And you can see we're running around the reunion tower with our, COVID masks on and stuff. So.
Yeah. No, it looks great. Your videos look amazing. The production quality just looks incredible on them. They look great. I wanted to start out. I like to start out asking everybody about like what their earliest memory of Deep Ellum is. Like, what do you remember kind of like the first time you ever went down there, and kind of saw a band and, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to think of the first time I ever went down that way. I know that, it was much more punk rock back then. And there were metalheads, but most of the metal clubs were outside of Deep Ellum. So there wasn't really alternative yet. There was a very, strong punk scene. And there was a lot of skinheads that were fighting each other. And I didn't know which ones were which. And I was just trying to go down there and enjoy shows. Probably the first time down there must have been, man, something like a Fugazi show or Social Distortion or something,
Fugazi.
Yeah, cool. My buddies were all punk rock, so I was like the metal kid hanging out with the punks. So I got to see and enjoy all of that. So that was really cool.
Right. When did so you started out punk? When did the industrial thing click in for you? Was it like Ministry or Fear Factory? One of those bands?
Years before that, Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, the TV show. So to me, the term industrial, I didn't hear it until I heard Ministry. But I had a friend who had sold me a keyboard, and I had a Boss Dr. Rhythm drum machine, and I had a 4-track, and I would record keyboard and drum bits and then play guitar on top of it. And that's kind of what you would call industrial today. But to me, it was like kind of sci-fi rock. And I would play things like the Darth Vader theme song, the Imperial March, and I would play the Doctor Who theme song and things like that. And that was kind of like, man, I really want to do stuff like this. And then my friend said, I've heard your tapes. You should listen to Ministry. And they just put out The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I've been doing. Maybe it was a bit faster, a bit heavier, a bit more frantic, but it was amazing when I heard it. And I was glued, absolutely. And I've loved it ever since.
I think it was the vinyl of Jesus Built My Hot Rod that one of my friends, his uncle, the metal uncle,
Yeah.
he had Jesus Built My Hot Rod and showed that to us. And I was only like in third or fourth grade at the time. I remember being completely floored by that. I'd already heard Iron Maiden and, Metallica and stuff like that, but this had a completely different kind of edge to it, a machine-like quality and it's still in my music today, the stuff that
Absolutely.
I do. And
Yeah,
I
and
know it's a big part of what you guys do. Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that crazy using machines as samples, and then you put Mike Scosha as a guitar player on top of it, and Mike was a robot. I mean, that guy would just play faster than anything. I mean, he's Flight of the Bumblebee, all over the place.
So
And those
precise.
two,
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing to watch. I saw Rigor Mortis open for Slayer, and I was probably like 10th row at the old, was it Arcadia in Dallas? And I'm watching him play, and he was amazing then. And then when I heard him with Ministry, I was like, this is just the most amazing marriage of music, where you can take these crazy samples and this just guitar play like nothing I've heard before play together. It was just mind-bogglingly cool.
That's awesome. So I wanted to also talk about Skwee-G a little bit, kind of like the origin of that. And because I remember me and my buddy Eric listened to Lex and Terry going way. We were still kids and too young to even go down to Deep Ellum or anything. We knew about you guys back then before I even met you with the Samsara guys. I was already aware of you from Skwee-G. I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Skwee-G started in, I guess, about 92, 93. And we were playing clubs like The Basement and Dallas City Limits and Dirty Dog's Rock Room and you name it, On the Rocks. We played around town, kind of got our names for ourselves, but like every other band, you struggle a bit. It was different then, though. You could play on a Monday night in Dallas at a metal bar, and it'd be packed because they had drink specials. And here's the main key: the pretty girls liked the hair bands, right? And the hair bands were everywhere. So there's pretty girls at every one of the rock clubs. Therefore, all the dudes were there too. It was a great time for that. I find it a little frustrating because that wasn't really I went through the Cinderella, and I still like bands like Cinderella. I think they're fantastic. And Poison was really big, but then there was a lot of more glam things I didn't really care for, that they weren't glam enough already. But the scene then was amazing because you could play on like I said, a Monday night at 9 o'clock, and there's 200 people, 300 people in the place, and you could tell if you were good because like The Basement had a back bar, and if you didn't like you, they'd go to that. Otherwise, they'd hang out and watch you. So we always had these kind of confused people watching us, like, what's going on? Because we kind of went groove, not quite heavy like Pantera, but the beginning of Squeegee was very kind of groove oriented, and that same big chuggy riffs and stuff. And then eventually we added the keyboards, but it was a fun time, and we played a lot of shows that were great, a lot of shows that were not. That's kind of what happens with music. And then one Saturday morning, if you remember back, Howard Stern was on the radio. He was really big here. He was really big everywhere. And then they took him off. And when they took him off, they brought Lex and Terry on. And a lot of people this is all kind of happening at the same time. A lot of people were kind of mad about losing Howard Stern. And then Lex and Terry comes on, and I'm like, this is really good. I enjoyed the show. And they were going to be at a car stereo installation place on a Saturday morning at like 7 o'clock. And I remember telling the guys, I'm going out on Saturday at 7 a.m. Join me. We're going to go meet these radio guys. And they went, no way. I'm not getting up at 7 a.m. It's a waste of time kind of thing. And I went on my own. I went up and I go, dude, I hear you guys talking about intro music for your show all the time. I said, here's our first album, and it's full of big chuggy riffs that you guys can use, and feel free to use it, abuse it. And then I made the joke that also doubles as a frisbee on a coaster, as you do, trying to not sound like you're too egotistical and have fun burning it on the radio on Monday. And I literally got out of the shower Monday morning and I heard our song playing. And I'm like, oh my God, we'd gotten little bits and pieces, but all of a sudden we were a staple. We were on every day, several times a day, on a nationally syndicated radio show. And we're still on. We're still on it. I mean, that's probably 96 or something at that point. Yeah. So we've been on almost 20 or 30 years with them now. It's crazy.
That is so cool.
Yeah, they still play our stuff.
7 a.m., huh? The 7 a.m. thing, deal breaker.
Yeah. I mean, that's rock and roll, right? No one wants to get up that early, but I
Right.
mean,
I didn't want to get up that early back then either. Yeah.
no, especially on a
Yeah.
weekend. Yeah, and their show now is from 5 till 9 in the morning. So I still every few months I'll go on and hang out, and they'll play a new
Yeah.
video or a new song.
That is so cool, man. I love that
Amazing.
picture of you wearing the Riot Squad shirt, and you're like right
Yeah,
in front of the keyboard. And you've got the
yeah.
BC Rich and everything. That's a rad picture, man.
Thank you. That was Texas Billiards. So that venue
Oh,
is
okay.
now, what is it called? It's in the Arlington area, like Arlington Mall over there. I haven't been in since they changed it, but it was an awesome place. That show we had inflatable dinosaurs on stage,
Mm-hmm.
like big 5 to 6 foot inflatable dinosaurs, and then we kicked them into the crowd, and it started this big mosh pit with people with inflatable dinosaurs.
That's freaking great.
It's funny.
BC Rich, I mentioned the BC Rich thing a minute ago.
Mhm.
How long have you been with them?
Since around 95 or 96, something like that. So
Wow.
local Dallas band named Absu were with BC, and Mike
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, the guitar player, was a buddy of ours, and he was like, dude, I need to get you guys in contact with him. And he did. He hooked us up, made the phone call. We called them up, and when we called them, they were singing one of our songs back to us. So they'd listened, and we're like, whoa, this is cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and they said, "Well, we'll endorse you. You know, it's not a free ride. You know, we weren't Poison or Motley Crue. You weren't going to have the Skwee-G shot down the camera with 100 guitars, but these these things that would normally cost $4,000 or $5,000, we could get for like 1,500 basically." And we
Wow.
Derek got like two beautiful custom basses. I got a custom guitar. We were with them for a while. Then Bernie passed away. Junior took over his son. And then Junior passed, and the company sold, and then it got bought and sold and bought, and we've been endorsed like 3 or 4 times now because somebody else keeps taking it over, and we have to go, hey, we're the little guy on the team, but we'd love to jump back on the bandwagon if we can. And they're like, yeah, come on.
Right.
Yeah, so they have. And most recently, they've been bought out again, and now it's owned by a guy named Bill Xavier. He's one of the owners. I think the guitar player Zoltan from Five Finger Death Punch is one of the owners, and there's some other people. It's all kind of quiet, but the instruments they're putting out now are as good as, if not better than, the ones that we got when we first started, getting the handcrafted guitars from them. They are fantastic. There's no little cheapy models anymore. They are really just incredible.
I can tell by looking at them. I love that white V that has all the
Oh,
crazy cuts in it, all the different
thank
points.
you. Yeah, the Draco.
Oh, what was that again?
It's called a Draco.
Draco.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like the dragon. So that was a weird story because somebody who, I guess he was an artist or something, he designed that and licensed it to BC. So BC made them, and then at some point they were like, we're not making enough money off of these things, so they stopped making them. And they had done some custom shop jobs, and this guy gets paid every time they put one out. And now they're collector's items, and basically they've said we're not going to go back to it because it's not profitable for us to make this guitar and have to pay this guy royalties. So I've got two of them, but and I could easily turn around and sell one for about $2,000 on eBay right now if I really wanted to. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. But some of the custom shop jobs you probably sell for 5 or 10 grand.
Wow. They look
Madness.
amazing on stage.
Thank
Like
you,
they
thank
look
you,
so great in the stage lighting and everything. Yeah.
thank you.
BC Rich is, yeah. I had one of my first guitars when I was a teenager, still probably 15, was a red Warlock that my
Nice,
mom had found me at a pawn shop somewhere. It was,
nice.
I loved it. I played that thing all
Mhm.
the time. Yeah. BC Rich.
Yeah, there are people who love pointy guitars and there are people who don't. I am certainly on the. I cut my teeth, watching Motley Crue and Wasp and all the
Right.
bands, Slayer, and so I've always been a fan.
You name dropped Cinderella. I freaking loved
Yeah,
Cinderella. Tom Kiefer. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, amazing band. That dude's still got pipes, man. He is incredible, and I think he's got like 3 octaves of range or something. And if you ever get the chance to meet him, he'll always wear gloves because he doesn't want to catch a cold from somebody and not be able to sing the next night, which is total pro
Right.
move. And my buddy was teching for Fred for a little while, their drummer, and said all of them are super super cool.
Cool. Yeah. I heard that he did had some major work done to his throat. I guess like
Mm-hmm.
back maybe like in 2019 or something. He really put a lot of work in and did a lot, put some big effort into fixing his voice. Because I know he had
Yeah.
some trouble for a while there, but he's an amazing vocalist. I've always loved Cinderella. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
if you ever
great.
get a chance, yeah, for anybody listening or watching, if you ever get a chance to go out and catch Tom in any of his bands, man, you can close your eyes and you're right back in 1980, whatever that was when they first came out. They're incredible. Yeah, I saw Cinderella with Poison when both bands were baby bands, and just what a great show to see.
Wow.
Yeah, small venue
Cheapers.
again.
My first show, I missed all that because my first show when I was 13 was Metallica, Suicidal Tendencies, and Candlebox at the
Wow.
Coca-Cola Starplex,
Yeah.
summer of '94.
My
So it was
goodness.
like kind of at the very end, one of the last things they ever did for the Black Album. It was
Wow.
right before they cut their hair and did Load and Reload and all that. Which I
Not the
love.
haircut.
Load. Those are great
Oh yeah.
albums. Yeah, for
Metallica's
the
always
time
been great
period.
with riffs. Yeah, my first show was Genesis.
Genesis. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, never got to see them.
Phil's
Wow.
amazing, man. I mean, the whole band is. Those guys are like the kind of the godfathers of prog rock going. I mean, if you think about what they do and go back and listen, those simple songs aren't simple at all.
I did go back and do a deep dive into their earlier work when like Peter
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel was still in the band, especially once I
Yeah.
really got more into prog and I got older and I found some of that older stuff like Nursery Crime and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
It's
Amazing stuff.
amazing. There's some
Yeah.
right talent in bands up until Nirvana ruined it. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. I love Nirvana as well. 3
I was
chords. Let's go.
listening to Bleach the other day.
Nice.
Negative Creep. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
man. Bleach is so heavy. Yeah, that's a heavy
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
They did some
stuff.
cool stuff. Man. Yeah, Kurt had an ear for it, man. He had a knack for writing some great stuff.
What about when Fear Factory did School? Man, that was wild, right?
Yeah.
Like heavy cover.
Yeah, anything Fear Factory does is badass. I mean, they do some great covers too. The Gary Newman stuff, and they covered Killing Joke, and I mean, it's always killer.
Yeah, when they did Cars, that was what a killer track.
Yeah.
Going into Rivethead, y'all started up like right around the time that I joined Samsara, I think, which was like around 2002, right?
That's it. Skwee-G ended, and it was weeks, and then all of a sudden we were Rivethead.
So the drummer Rivethead that I knew back then, the original Rivethead drummer, he was in Skwee-G.
Mickey was Skwee-G's drummer throughout. When we started Rivethead, it was just me and Mickey at the very beginning, and then we hired Lodi, who had moved down from Amarillo to Dallas, and he became our bass player. So Mickey was the first drummer, and then after 2 or 3 years, Mark had joined. So Mark was the second drummer. So Mickey was the kind of the first dude. Mark was with us for quite a long time, probably the longest term drummer we've had, and then we've had a few since. The turnover. That's music.
Right. I was so what was y'all's first release? Was that phase 3? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, so phase 3 was the kind of compilation. We'd gone and done demos, so we were like, let's not throw down $4,000 and do an album. Let's do demos instead. That way we kind of shop ourselves and get gigs, kind of see what we can do. So phase 3 was the combination of 3 different recording sessions. We're like, what do we call it? Phase 3. There we go.
No, it's cool. It reminded me of like Tony Stark or something whenever I heard that, so I liked it.
Nice.
Yeah.
It started off all quiet, and then it came out like a jackhammer. We'd give people CDs, and we walked around Deep Ellum just with like backpacks full of promos to give away. And that's what you do back in the day. Nowadays, you can't do it because no one has a CD player. And if you give them a thumb drive, they're gonna expect you're giving them a virus or something. So no one wants that removable media either. And if you give them download cards, it won't make it home. I mean, it's just I don't even know what you do anymore. You just
how do you
tell
do
friends.
it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. TikTok, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, TikTok. Get a silly video, and the next thing you know, it's blown up.
So around the time y'all did phase 3 and all that, and y'all were playing with us, that was when y'all were doing like the Mortal Kombat, which I always mention to you because I love that so much. That was one of my favorite things. Was y'all did the Mortal Kombat song? You made it so heavy. That driving riff. That I used to love the way y'all rocked that out. So great.
Yeah, that soundtrack was killer. We were like, let's do a collaboration, or a compilation. Let's take some of the bits from that whole album or the whole movie and put it together. And then I had a friend do like, Raiden, Liu Kang, all that kind of stuff for us. We sampled it, we used it. We called it Portal Wombat was the name of the cover. And
Portal Wombat. Okay.
Yeah. It was a leftover from Skwee-G, believe it or not. We did it with Skwee-G. We did the Darth Vader theme song and we did the Mortal Kombat song, and then those bled over into Rivethead. And with Rivethead, we redid the Darth Vader theme song, but we've not redone Port of Wombat. And somebody asked for it a while back. I'm like, we probably need to revisit this.
Oh, definitely, please do, because that would be so. Yeah.
Cool.
What came after phase 3, like chronologically? I wanted to kind of move up and kind of touch on each thing that y'all worked on, if that's cool.
Absolutely. So SPR Factor was next, and SPR Factor was Mark's debut with us. He was on drums, and I think by then we'd added Kevin on guitar. I think they came at the same time. Those guys had moved down from Amarillo years ago together, and we were always in projects together. And when Mark came in to play drums, he was like, we should add a second guitar player. And I'm like, yeah, okay. We've been talking about it for a while. We just hadn't done it. And we brought Kevin in, and Kevin rolled in with a brand new BC Warlock and a Mesa Boogie triple rack stack. And we're like, okay, let's see what you got. And then instead of playing the one song he expects somebody to do, he played the whole album. We're like, okay, well, you're in. So that's that. And we recorded SBR Factor in Deep Ellum. It was called Deep Ellum Studios. And Craig, what was Craig's last name? I'll have to think of it. But he recorded a demo for us in one day, basically. We did, I guess, 3 or 4 songs, whatever it was. And so that became the next kind of EP, if you will.
Wait a minute, Craig. Was he right down there on like Commerce Street?
Yeah, yeah.
And he had a big like gated entryway that you had to go through? That's where Samsara recorded their first EP, the Bloom EP. The one that had Up Against and Focus Erase and all that, the first 4 song they did was with Craig. And I love that one. He did such a good job with them. I always preferred the Samsara stuff that Craig did with them that I wasn't on, because I never got to record with Craig, but they did before I was in the band. And I always loved the way he made them sound. So, I recognized that name immediately as soon as you brought that up. Yeah, Craig was great.
He's a great dude. And as a matter of fact, on our first thing that we recorded, 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 songs on phase 3 were recorded by a guy, not gay. It's Pride Month. Hey, a guy named Joe Sidoti, and he had worked with Papa Roach. So even though we had done demos, it was like we had this really good sound that came out of that. And I think Craig, similarly, and it might have been you guys that told us to go to him, to be honest. Because at some point we were neighbors for I don't know how many years over at Universal Rehearsal, the old studio. So
Universal, yeah.
Which is no longer there now. It's gone, unfortunately. So hopefully Vince gets a new building sometime soon.
Like so many things from back then, gone now. Curtain Club, yeah.
Curtain. That's a really tough one.
Club so much,
yeah. That's a staple. And remember, you could go down on a Sunday at Curtain as well, and it was always packed. Yeah, imagine that every metal club was like that. There was a point where the Eagle was down there supporting every Sunday. You'd go in on a Sunday night, and it was just 1 or 2 or 3 local bands were playing, and the guys from Drowning Pool would be in there. Sometimes you get Vinny or Dime coming in to say hello, and it was just a who's who, and it didn't matter who's not. Everybody was having a good time.
Absolutely. I've got some footage of my first band, Outlet, where Dave from Drowning Pool, he just walked up on stage one night and started, our singer, Justin, he just handed him the mic, was like, here you go. And Dave just started singing, and we just played an extended version of that song and just kept going because he was just making lyrics up. And we're like, looked at each other like, okay, let's just keep going. Dave was great.
That's why they called him stage. Yeah.
Walk up on stage, grab the mic, and take over. Yeah, that's I miss that guy.
He's definitely one of the good ones, man. I mean, we kept running into each other and the other guys too in Drowning Pool. We saw them kind of on their. It was a quick rise, really. I mean, for those of us on the outside looking in, it was like they were doing really well. The next thing you know, they're on Ozfest. I mean, to us, it seemed that quick. And I remember asking them, they just shot Bodies. I remember they were back in Dallas and they were like, yeah, we just shot a video, no big deal. it's just Bodies, no big deal. And then they were on Ozfest, and Dave had taken a break and flown home to see his girlfriend, and I saw him hanging out on Greenville Avenue, and we're at a very small bar there called Harder Bar, and he was hanging out with his girlfriend, kind of dancing around, and he's like, hey man, how you doing? Said hello and asked me how Skwee-G was doing before I could even ask him how the tour's going on Ozfest, and that was the last time I saw him. He passed away the next week. And he was one of the most humble dudes you could ever meet. And the world needs more people like him, and it's a damn shame that we didn't get more of him.
I miss him and Daryl so much. Yeah, I miss
Yeah.
Daryl. I think about Daryl all the time.
Yeah.
And I know that Daryl had a nickname for Dave, Stage, right?
Yes. Dave
Dave
Stage
Stage
Williams.
Williams. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which perfectly fit him because, yeah, that's what he did that night when we were playing. He just kind of walked up and became the stage, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that dude could get up and sing like Sebastian Bach and then go metal and go mellow or metal or everything in between. So,
Very adaptable to like different
yep.
styles and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I miss those dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And correction to what I said a minute ago, I did go record with Craig when I did
Yeah.
join Sarah. We went and did the second one, Anovo. We did a couple songs with him, but I
Nice.
still preferred the stuff they did with him before I was in the band for some reason. There was something about that first little four song that they did before I was in the band that just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there was some kind of magic on that thing. It just sounded special. I still
Sometimes,
listen to that
some,
all the time.
yeah, sometimes it's that rawness, the under polished. Like I had a buddy even last night telling me he prefers us live over the some of the recorded stuff we do, and and I get where he's coming from because some people like the loud, in your face, aggressive, raw, and some people want to hear it where it's been produced. And there's no right or wrong. Obviously, when you do get things produced, you're expecting treatment on parts here and there that you just can't replicate live. Like a small bit of vocal that gets flanged here on a little pronunciation and then kicks back into normal. You can't do that live. Well, you can, but it's kind of cheating. And then who knows if it's pre-recorded. So,
Right. Backing tracks can be a tricky thing. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Use them properly, not to replace what you're doing, but to accentuate. So, like for bands, like the stuff we've done and still do, it's keyboard stuff that we haven't got a keyboard player playing live, but you certainly don't want it coming in and playing my guitar solo for me or something. I mean, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
That'd be too weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
would
I
be
see
bizarre.
it. I see it happen. It does not with us, but I see it.
So coming up chronologically on the album, somewhere
Mhm.
next, y'all did some covers, right? Didn't y'all do one of those under the covers? Or I know there was one that zombies, our zombies ate your songs.
Yeah,
I love that title. That's
thank
so
you.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were recording an album, and while we were playing together, we had a cover we did of "Rock Your Body" from Justin Timberlake, and we had Tracy come in. Tracy was with Laura's band, Faded Grace. I had to think of the name for a second, and she had come in and sang the parts. We'd sampled her, and we're like, "Man, Justin Timberlake just came out with "Sexy" back." And it's brand new, and I'm like, dude, we have to make this metal. This will be so cool. It's so poppy, but it would be so cool with big guitar. And we did it, but we said, okay, we're going to record like a 10 or 13 song album, whatever it was, and we're going to record a bunch of covers at the same time. So in the same session or the same week, like a 40-hour block, we did a full album and a cover album, and then we released them one after the other. So that was the self-titled Rivethead album, and the cover album was called All Your Covers Belong to Us, which was a takeoff of the old All Your Bass Are Belong to Us, which I wanted to call it All Your Covers Are Belong to Us, but the band said no one's going to get it. And I'm like, no, they're all going to get it, but I got outvoted. So it was All Your Covers Belong to Us. And
Outvoted. Man.
yeah.
No, it's still a title though, either way. Yeah.
Yeah, it works. But so
Yeah.
we did Sexy Back, we did Pink Floyd Run Like Hell, Britney Spears Toxic, Hella Good from No Doubt, and there's maybe one more I can't think of at the moment. And that was, I guess, maybe 6 months or so apart. We released them and had, we could double our promotion because 2 CD parties to do, and so that was a lot of fun.
Dude, I listened to Run Like Hell earlier. I actually watched the video on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, 56K on
Not
YouTube.
bad. Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, a lot of people clearly agree with me. That is a killer cover. And
Thank
I
you.
guess it was your bassist, right, that was doing some of those
Yep.
vocals there. And man,
Yep.
his
Derek.
range. Wow. Yeah. Okay, Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that
Yeah. He
guy.
could.
I was blown away. I didn't realize he had pipes like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was Skwee-G singer. So Derek was our frontman for years, and it was when he had
Oh,
decided to
okay.
take. Yeah, he took a break. So when he took a break, we're like, well, hang on a minute, we can't just keep doing Squeegee because it's going to sound like someone's not doing Derek justice. I love Derek to bits. I love his voice. I love his playing, but I didn't want to be the guy that was trying to copy him. And look, I'm not supposed to be the singer now. We did auditions and we had songs and people came in, and the songs, I said, either sing the lyrics we have and here's a demo of me doing it, or do your own thing. And either they came in and just totally missed it by a mile, and it was either like the whole time, or it just sounded like somebody was making fun of me, and I'm like, I didn't like it. So I ended up keeping the gig, and we're still trying to find the right guy. So if you know anybody, send them around. And no, but so
okay.
So yeah, so Derek he does have an incredible range, and especially on that song, because there's the first part, which is, the kind of low part, and then it's the high response, and it's, man, I still can't hit some of those notes. I'll try live sometimes, and my voice just cracks.
Right, because it was kind of like a call and response thing between Gilmore and Waters. They were kind of going back and forth, right? But Waters is the more difficult, right? The more, right? Okay,
yeah, and it's the take you back to mother in a cardboard box, you better run. But it's like, take you back to mother in a cardboard box, you better run. And trying to do that with a growl. Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm doing it like, like this. Like, So, yeah, and that did really well. Between that and Sexy Back, those two songs both did well. Sexy Back at one point had close to 1 million views. And then YouTube was sending out messages saying something about changing the algorithm and this and that and disqualifying people's views. And all of a sudden, our views on that song went down to like 100K, and now it's sitting somewhere around 250. So whatever YouTube was doing, like we've never paid for views or paid anybody to fake views or plays, but for some reason that had a load that got removed. So whatever caused it to happen had nothing to do with us. So now we're, well short of what it was originally, like a fourth.
250, you said. Yeah, because when I saw it said 56K.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah. So it is what it is, and obviously we haven't got the money to go up and fight it. We want our views back. No.
Right. Wow. I didn't even know something like that was possible. That's scary to even think about that many, because I know for me, like, I'm so proud when something really racks up on the views. It's a really good thing, and like, because we bust our ass. We really do. I know you do, and to have something like that taken away, that's so wrong.
It did hurt, man. And lots of things happen like that. Like we kind of taking it back a few years again. Skwee-G played with Lex and Terry in Florida. We got offered a gig to come out. They said, we're going to pay you like $2,000, which, okay, unsigned band, $2,000 for a night, we'll take it. Even if we're driving to Jacksonville, Florida to play, which we did in one shot there and one shot back. But all sorts of stuff went wrong on the way there. Like our exhaust pipe disconnected from the car and was dragging, and then we had to tie it up with a bass string to the manifold of the car, which meant all the fumes were getting into the car. And then by the time we got to Florida, we were all sick from the exhaust fumes. That's only the small part of it, but we had booked with them a second show. So originally we were just playing Saturday, but we went, let's come in a day early and we'll do this other little club. And we took over a cover band's spot. They had their PA set up. We came in, brought our gear up, and we turned around and looked at the crowd, and it was capacity. So this little bar, which could fit like 500 people, had 1,500 people in it. And we sold the place out. We did thousands of merch that night. And the next night we played a boxing match that Lex and Terry were hosting called Bitch Brawl. And it's 3,000 people capacity. And that sold out in an hour. And we were the house band. And we literally came home with like $7,000 in our pocket from playing 2 nights. And again, from unsigned to that. We played the Galaxy Club the next weekend to bar staff. So when we thought we were like, hey, we're doing good. And then nothing. So that's
so weird like that. Yeah. One big giant show and then like crickets the next time. Yeah.
And quite similarly, we just released Rivethead and that All Your Covers album. And I was in Little Rock, Arkansas doing work, and I started getting messages, and it was like, hey, did you know you're on XM radio? And I was like, no. And they go, yeah, they have a show at 5:00 every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And they play a new song. And if it got like positive votes, it would get put into rotation on XM radio. And I'd heard it before because I had XM in my little Hummer I had at that point. and people were brutal, right? They'd call in and go, "This song sucks," and they would drop f-bombs and stuff because you could. This is the biggest piece of crap, you know. But it wasn't to us. When I go, okay, let me hear it on Tuesday because I missed Monday, and it was like, man, we love this song, Rivethead's Red. I'm like, who are these people and where were they calling before? Because they rag on everybody because they can. And we got voted into rotation, and the next thing you know, we were on Squiz. Squiz was like Octane, so that you have on Sirius. We got into regular rotation, and on any day you could turn it on, hear Manson, right? Rob Zombie, Tool, and Rivethead in the mix, and it was like we were one of them. And it went on for about 4 or 5 years. And Sexy Back got the same treatment. That's why Difference and Sexy Back have lots of views, because they both got into rotation. And then the merger happened, and we knew one of two things was going to happen. That either that was going to blow us up so big because all the people who had not heard us were going to hear us, or we're going to get completely cut out of the picture. Guess which happened? They stopped playing all the unsigned bands, period. And Octane took over the Squiz spot, and we may have gotten played twice since. I mean, it's like nothing.
Wow. Yeah, that's something I've gotten used to as being in a band now for decades. Like, you know, the ups and downs, you kind of got to just get used to it, I guess, because there is a lot of that. You know, I noticed with some bands, like, you know, like there are anomalies like Linkin Park. I think from the moment that band started to the moment they got signed and took off, it was like maybe, 6 months? You know, like they didn't struggle for very long. You know what I mean? Like that happens sometimes, but most of the time it's long and arduous, and you just got to keep dredging through. But that's part of I don't know. It's not so glamorous at times, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it. I do.
No,
you know?
yeah. And you have to do what you love. You know, I think for a lot of us, it's a passion. You know, songwriting and playing is a passion, and you'll do it with it's you and the boys at the home studio, or if you're out at a club doing it. And it's if somebody buys something, or if they come out to see your show, dude, it's an honor, man. It's an honor to get one person to buy a CD or a T-shirt. You know, money's hard to come by these days. A lot of people have been struggling, and everything's so damn expensive. For somebody to cough up $20 for a T-shirt or $10 for I mean, who buys CDs anymore, right? They still buy them. It's amazing. And
I make all my music free. All of my wild stuff that I do, like all of it's free. I just want to reach as many ears as I possibly can. I think that's the most important thing to me. I just want it to have as big of a reach as it can. So after the self-titled and then the covers, what do we move on to after that? And there's a personnel change at some point, right, where the bass player changes?
Yeah, well, we're still in the same lineup at that point. 13th Step is next. It's another original album, and that one did really well as well. We sold tons, and this is the point where, as a band, we're recording an album. It's probably costing us $4,000 to $6,000 to do a 40-hour stint and get 1,000 CDs, right? And that's what we'd do. We'd have 1,000 CDs at the end of it. We do a big CD release show, sell them all over the place, and we just go play around everywhere we possibly could. And I still have a garage full of CDs at this point, and I need to sell. There's probably have about 8,000 of them by now, all albums combined. Now people buy them just to get them signed. But same lineup through that. And then if we start moving forward, all your zombies, our Zombies Ate Your Songs. We just wanted to come up with some kind of like chaosy kind of fun thing with zombies attacking a city. And I knew a comic artist who was I think he's in Chile, somewhere in South America or something like that. And he did the album for us, and it's beautiful, man. This great zombie looking thing attacking a city.
Yeah, it's a great cover. I love that cover.
Thank you. We did a bunch of covers with that. And then after that album, I believe it was Zero Gravity, still same lineup. And we're still playing around town. We got our plaque up at Curtain Club. We're headlining Trees. We'd gone from playing the smaller venues and that's the way you do it. You play smaller venues, kind of get yourself known, and then once you've kind of filled one, you can go to the bigger one, and the bigger one, and the bigger one. And at that point, where we could play Trees at pretty much any point. Clint's like Book Anybody You Want, and things were really rocking at that point. Then we did Doomsday for Optimism, which is kind of a play on words. And again, really, really pressing on, doing good. And then somewhere after that, Derek had said, like, dude, I'm just too tired. He had a very strenuous day job, still does, where he does a lot of what they do during the day requires a lot of physical work, basically. And his he was having kind of back issues. He's had 2 back surgeries. I know he had one that he went playing paintball and dove and broke it again. I mean, he's had all these. He's bionic by this point, but he said I'm stepping down, and unfortunately, we had to let him go and sit on the sidelines. And obviously he's still family. We love him to bits. When he left, I made one phone call to a friend, and I said, "Hey, I know of a band looking for a bass player, and I know that you're not busy right now." And I kind of described what the band was without saying it was us. And she's like, "Hell yeah, who is it?" And I go, "It's us." And so we got Laura, who was in Faded Grace, to come join us. And again, great bass player. Laura's energy is like second to none. Great player, just a great person, a good buddy. Love her to bits still. And she was with us for a while. Our drummer at that point, Mark, had left for a job that wouldn't allow him to play, the gigs that we had lined up. So we had JT, who's JT has produced and engineered most of our albums, and also he's King Diamond sound guy.
Oh wow, King.
Yeah. I mean, he's a man, and I should say Kitty, because Kitty's is what he goes by. But Kitty had recorded most of our albums, and he's a genius. He's an incredible, talented dude who plays everything under the sun. And at some point, when Mark had left, we got Logan to join us for a while. We had Wayne Stokely was with us for a while. Logan's with Ghoultown, incredibly talented dude. Wayne is now with Infidel. He's Infidel Rising's drummer, as well as Blaze of Glory, and he's also with Lillian Axe right now. So Wayne is an incredible drummer, and who happened to go through a bit of an issue where he went blind and still plays every damn bit as good as you'd expect. So going through all this stuff, and then all of a sudden Faded Grace was getting back together, and they pulled Laura back in, and so she had to step down. And then, and this is kind of trying to get it all into a quick thing, then Mike, who had auditioned for us before, Mike Lambert, I was like, "Mike, you'd auditioned, I really liked you a lot. Would you be interested in coming and jamming?" And so I had him come out, and I said, "Look, it's just me at this point. Everybody's left." Like, yesterday,
oh, wow.
kind of thing. Yeah, because everybody was just too busy, lived too far away. And he said, "Well, my friend Sam just quit his band." And so I said, "Well, bring him. Come on out." So we all met at our studio at Universal, and I told them the story of everything we kind of just went through. And this is the ups and downs of what we've had. There's no guarantees, but this is what I'd like to do. If you guys want to jump on board, let's rock this. And they were like, "Yeah." So that's what we've been doing since. Yeah, and those guys came in just before the pandemic, and we suffered through all of that and recorded, I don't know, 30 or 40 songs during the pandemic, and we're just releasing them bit by bit now.
And that's the 3-piece lineup that's kind of solidified now.
Yes,
that we're up to.
Yeah.
Going back just a little bit, I was going to comment on the cover for Doomsday for Optimism.
Yes.
Also a very cool cover. I was going to say, any comments on who did that or how that one was done?
Yeah, same kind of thing. I'd gone to deviantart.com and started looking for people who had artwork similar to the concept I was looking for. And the guy that I found again, and he was, I think he's also south of the border somewhere, like a comic artist, and just incredibly talented dude. And you can find people on DeviantArt and go, "Look, this is what I would like to do." You could search, you could like pumpkin, and then type in like evil pumpkin or something, and find a bunch of art that looks similar to what you want, and go like, "I'd like to either commission this piece you have, or if you do an original for me," and they'll be like, "Yeah, it's $100 or $200 or something." You never know.
Okay.
And they'll do some absolutely genius art. Of course, now you can get AI to do it for free, but these guys were knocking out these beautiful pieces of art for us, and then licensing it, so we had full, use or full rights to use it, and T-shirts and CDs and all the rest.
I'm all for AI, but I do like to have the human touch on things still, especially with art. So that's cool that you actually had somebody to do it. And
yeah, good dudes.
I like your so your latest one, the green. What's the most recent record called?
It's Isolation, just because we recorded it at home. Like, I recorded my guitar parts for him.
Okay.
Yeah, where I'm sitting right now, I recorded either in this room, I'm upstairs in my media room, or downstairs in my music room, just sitting in front of Pro Tools and the computer plugged straight into an interface. That's it.
It almost kind of brought up Mega Man vibes in a way, the cover.
Nice,
It
nice.
reminded me
Yeah.
of a few, like, it almost looked like one of Dr. Wily's kind of
Mhm.
inventions.
Yeah.
Uh, if I might nerd out real quick just for a minute.
Oh, totally cool with that. Absolutely. I mean, it's just we wanted to go easy, something that would be cool in a t-shirt, basically, and that's our
Right. It
t-shirts.
is. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love the concept. Yeah. It's great.
our new shirts are that image and that image reverse, so it's either green on black or black on green. There you go. Can't go wrong with that.
Right. And when that came out in 2022, right? That's when y'all did that?
Yes, yeah, last year, and then now we have, I know, something like 12 songs we have recorded but not mixed and mastered, including covers that we're just slowly letting go. So we just released a cover of Lana Del Rey's "Summertime Sadness" like last week,
Oh,
and then we
wow.
have a brand new song coming out on June 16th called "The One," and that we've not, well, we played it live, so if people have come out and seen us, then they've heard it, but otherwise no one's heard it.
Oh, okay. Okay. When are you guys playing again, actually? I'd like to come out and see y'all sometime soon.
Yeah, we've got
Been so
3
long.
gigs. Yeah, I know, dude, it has been a minute, hasn't it? I saw Janarden, by the way. Janarden was at our show at Trees last week, so that was super cool getting to see him.
He mentioned that. He saw y'all. Yeah, okay. That was at the Mad Mexican show, right?
Absolutely. Another great band too, man. I mean,
Yeah.
always a pleasure to play with them. Let's see. I'm thinking, okay, June 16th we're playing in Tyler. So that one doesn't count. Actually, that might be kind of closer, right?
That's
East
close to
Texas.
me, man. That's like 30
Yeah.
minutes from here. Okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So June 16th, we got a headline gig there, which means we get to bring up our video screens and stuff and show all our fun synced stuff and do our full light show, which is, we don't often get to do it. So that's super cool. And then we have July 29 at Reno's. Um, and then September, way off in the distance, we have a show at O'Reilly's we're going to do with Tin Pool and Under a Spell. The Reno show is going to be with Perceived, Lotus Throat, which is Scar from Razorblade Doll's new band.
Yeah.
And
It's
dude,
awesome.
that's
Too.
going to be,
I love it.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing with Scar again. Because, I mean, that was the thing. Just as much as the Samsara Rivethead romance happened for a long time, the Razorblade Dolls thing and Rivethead thing happened for a long time too. And we played places all over the place together, and looking forward to making this happen. And now what we need is a Thieves Lotus Throat Rivethead show.
We just practiced yesterday, so
Nice,
you're absolutely
nice.
right about that. And
Yeah.
I'd say we're closer now than we ever have been to actually getting something started.
Cool.
Like everyone, whenever COVID and all that stuff happened, everything really slowed down for us. But we've really been picking up the pace lately, and I think that
Nice.
something will happen this year for us. As far as, because we're sitting on a record right now that we've been sitting on for a little while, and man, it sounds so great. Like, I'm so proud of it.
Nice.
I know it's going to see the light of day soon. We released one
That's
track.
fantastic.
I don't know if you've heard it. Did you hear "Separate"? The one song that we did release.
Yeah, Janarden had sent me some stuff, man. I mean, dude, anything you guys do is incredible, man. I'm a fan. You know, I mean, even before I heard it, I knew I was gonna love it, and so it didn't take but 5 seconds to go. I'm back in the groove, man. I'm ready for more.
Man, I had to back in the day. I had to tell the guys in Outlet, man, I got to go. I got to go join Samsara. They need a bass player. Like, I had to. I remember
Mhm.
seeing Samsara and deciding right then and there, like, I got to find a way to get in this band, and I did.
Yeah,
I ended up finding a way, and because I
nice.
was just blown away by those guys. I always thought the element that Robert brings, Fire Hazard, with all the
Hmm.
samples and the keys, like, I loved that they had a guy that was just solely dedicated just to that. I'd
Yeah.
never been in a band yet that had that yet. It was all just stringed instruments, drums, and a mic
Hmm.
up to that point. So I guess they
He's
had that other element that just kind of blew me away at the time. And now I don't think I could do a project without having that, the keyboards and the textures, and
yeah.
I don't know, it just adds so much to it. Yeah.
Oh, he was the mad scientist, he's always, he's got all the
Yeah.
crazy things and samples going on, and yeah, he was always lots of fun to watch, man.
He
And
finds really
when,
fun bits, like great voice clips and stuff. He's really good at finding
yeah,
good little, perfect little snippets. Yeah. I wanted to
nice.
touch on before, I know we're coming up on like 50 minutes right now, but I wanted to touch on, before I let you go, the 501st and
Yes.
And just a little touch on that a little bit about, how that started and, what you do with all that. And we
Sure.
have a
So
mutual friend, by the way, before you get started,
yeah.
sorry. We have a mutual friend that also does the cosplay,
Mm-hmm.
Warren Jacobson. Do you know
Oh, nice.
Warren?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Cool. Yeah, and it is a small world, right? I mean, there's I met somebody last night, and he's like, "You're not in the 501st, are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he's like, "Dude, I have so much respect for you guys," and it just the name is growing. So, um, how did I learn about it? I'm an ordained minister, and I was going to marry Derek to his wife at Reno's in Deep Ellum, and it was a Star Wars wedding, and they said. Uh, I said, okay, if I'm going to be the guy in charge of doing the ceremony, what would you like me to do? I could, dress up as the Emperor, which would be really funny. I could do Darth Vader. I could do a Stormtrooper. And I'm saying all this, not having a clue what it all meant or what it would involve. And they're like, dude, you should do a Stormtrooper. That'd be cool. And I'm like, awesome. How the heck do I do that? So you go to Google, you search, and you're trying to find a good Stormtrooper kit, and you see stuff for a few $100. And then I found a site that said, don't buy on eBay. Don't buy anything on eBay. That site, it was whitearmor.net, which I don't really care for that name because it doesn't really sound like what it's supposed to be. It's a Stormtrooper site. White Armor, get it? But White Armor sounds like it should be up with the triple K peeps, and I don't want anything to do with that. So let's clear that out. Whitearmor.net is about Stormtrooper armor, not about a bunch of dudes going, come on, let's get the pickup truck and the fire, light up one of them crosses over here, Bubba. But so I learned this amazing organization existed called the 501st, and it's the white armor is full of white, black, gay, straight, big, small, tall, whatever. It's everybody that could possibly be in it is in it, and they are most of them wonderful people. And the 501st Legion was created by people who built screen accurate Stormtrooper and everything else costumes, and basically went to Lucasfilm and said, please don't sue us. We're doing it for charity. We're not making money off of your protected stuff. We're doing it for charity, and we're blowing up your fandom, which is true. And the 501st just kept fandom at a high level for 20 something years, like 25 years, I think. And it started off by people dumpster diving and getting costumes from Elm Street Studios in London, and then doing like building Stormtrooper kits. But what it's grown into today is a completely legit charitable organization worldwide. There's like 30 or 40,000 people that are members of it. Obviously, a huge portion of that's here in the United States, and it's broken up into divisions. By where you live and by what kind of costume you build. There's all the good guys are this thing called the Rebel Legion, which is a separate thing. All the bad guys are 501st. And then if you want to build a Stormtrooper, this is where you can buy the armor. And then there's a whole forum on how to build it properly and how to strap it properly, how to make it look screen accurate. You take your picture, you send it in. If they approve you, you can do charity work. And then if you're lucky, you might get called in by Lucasfilm for a role in a TV show or in a commercial.
Oh,
so nice. I've been a Stormtrooper. I've been in a commercial, not on a TV show yet, but I have worn my Wookiee on TV, but my Stormtrooper was on a Japanese airline commercial. But we do this for Make-A-Wish. We do it for children's hospitals. The last one I did was for Children's Health for heart patients. So, some of these things are really touching, and it's hard not to cry with a Stormtrooper helmet on. They don't have to see you, but yeah, we do a lot of wonderful things. So it's not just cosplay. It's giving back to the community and the fandom of Star Wars and getting to be a part of it.
Oh, man, that's amazing. Yeah. That's so cool.
It's fun.
Yeah. I love the cosplay element of it. That makes it so fun. And for the kids too, that goes perfectly with it, because it's, like what kid doesn't love Star Wars? You know what I mean? It's like we'll
change them. Yeah, they may not know Star Wars, but when they come out to a convention, like next weekend is Comic-Con Fan Expo in Dallas, I'll be there in my Wookiee. They may have no idea what I am, and somebody will go, that's Chewbacca. Well, I'm not actually Chewbacca. I'm Tarful, which is a different Wookiee. They'll call me Jamaican Chewie. They'll call me Chewie's dad, whatever. But it just, I'm 7'10" on stilts when I'm wearing that costume. So I nerd out. I nerd out looking at people in their costumes. So I know that it's pretty imposing looking up at that Wookiee. And getting to stand there and take pictures with people. We do it for free. If people want to donate money, they can. And that goes straight up to the charity that we're working for, whatever one is that weekend.
Beautiful. That's great. Man, I wanted to also, I feel like we got to mention the the wrestling and sports angle element too,
Mm-hmm.
that you guys have been involved with too. Before we go, we got to kind of touch on that,
Yeah.
right?
Sure. So I'm just one of those people that, man, I think our song should be somewhere, and I'm going to try to hammer it. So I met
Yeah,
the DJ that when the Stars moved to Dallas, Ty Webker was the DJ for the Stars and the Mavericks. I got to know Ty. I gave him music. The next thing you know, we got played at Stars games at Reunion. And then going through into American Airlines Center, we actually got to play at American Airlines Center during a Stars game and before a Stars game in the building where the girls dance. But
that's
yeah, yeah, through that, I've gotten to know each DJ. They've changed out. Eric was another one of the DJs, and he is now the DJ for the Cowboys. So he plays at the Cowboys games. But also, when Eric left, he had given the DJ for the Mavericks our stuff. So the Mavericks DJ played us. And all the way through the ranks, every time somebody swaps out. Now Groobs is the Rangers, and he was playing us. Let's see. We got Shippy now is doing the Stars, so he's got our stuff. And then not only that, but they had me do yells. So it'd be quiet during the game, and you'd hear me go, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?" Just screaming. And that got used at Stars games, and they got stolen by the Phoenix Coyotes, and they were using it. And I'm like, wow, man, this is really weird. I'm watching my team playing Phoenix, and my voice is on the TV.
That is so cool, man.
Strange.
And like you said, any avenue, like I'll give you that for sure. You are so good at like getting your band and your music to go through as many different like ways that you could be found. You know, like television, sports, nerd culture. You know, just the scene itself. You know, Deep Ellum and all that. I mean, there was so many different ways that you branched out. I got to give you credit there on that. It's really cool. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. You know, it's there's 50 failures for every one of those successes, so it's nice to have a few just to go, well, that worked.
That's impressive. And that we'll name drop the website too, which is rivetheadonline.com, right? Which is an awesome site actually too. That was a great resource for me when kind of doing my history on you and trying to get, you know, a little bit of background on you.
Thank you very much.
But I think that just about covers it. I think that's about all I got. So is that we ran for about an hour. I think that was pretty solid, man. Yeah.
Awesome, brother. Well, I'm gonna go grab a cold one and throw some stuff on the grill and finish out the weekend the way you're supposed to. And man, thank you so much for having me on. I cannot wait for a Rivethead Thieves show. Let's book one next week.
Let's make it happen soon. Yeah, I'll start pushing Janarden. And June 16th in Tyler, right?
That's it. At the is it the what is it called? I don't even know because it was Clicks. It's not Clicks anymore. Clicks is gone.
It's where Clicks was, so it's that spot.
No, it's a new spot. It's like the country. Is it Country River Club? That sounds right in my head.
River Club, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. And we're going to be wearing cowboy hats and boots.
Yeah, I was going to say you can tell that's in East Texas by the title.
Yeah. Well, everybody, come out, bring your moonshine. Let's throw down.
Awesome. You have yourself a good Sunday. Thanks for doing this with us, man. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, brother. We'll see you soon. All right.
All right. Later, dude.